Elliot Anderson. Elliot Anderson, man. Weird, weird player. Not because I don't think he's good or I think he's particularly bad or anything like that. I just think it's a weird player to kind of judge, right? Now, obviously, he seems to be the new, I don't know, English hope of the season. He seems to be the new flavor of the month, if I'm being totally honest with you. Quite a lot of people have spoken about Elliot Anderson, especially this season. Obviously, moved to Nottingham Forest last season from Newcastle. I think we all know PSR and all of that kind of stuff. I don't think Newcastle actually wanted him to go, but unfortunately, because of the whole PSR ruling, yeah, they had to kind of let him go. And yeah, it's a weird player, man. It's a weird player, and I have to stress this because I know someone might watch this and think, "Oh, what's he talking about?" Nothing to do with him being a good or bad player. Just I think the type of player that he is and what he's done so far. I'm just wondering, is he really that good? Or is it just one of those typical, he's English, he's playing pretty decently for Nottingham Forest, who subsequently are not actually doing that well, funnily enough, this season. Um, is it just one of those we're just overhyping him, especially for England? I do think that's something that I do think about as well when they talk about him for England and Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice, Phil Foden. They're talking about putting Elliot Anderson in there, Adam Wharton as well. It's it just seems like it's we never want to wait, and I think that's always going to be England's downfall. Always, 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 always. It's always other nations. I feel the top nations anyway. I always feel they always give any type of play, whether it's a top level talent like Lamine Yamal or it's someone just of the level of a Elliot Anderson. I always feel like they give them a bit more time, to really get acclimatized to just being the player that they are at this current moment in time. Obviously, we know that players develop at different rates and all of this kind of stuff. But yeah, I feel like in England, it's you have about you could have 3 good months, right? Any part of the season, beginning, middle, end, doesn't really matter. You just have 3 good months. And coinciding with international football, I always feel like, oh, okay, yeah, straight away he has to be the next hope. I think I've even heard Tuchel talking about, Elliot Anderson. He's ahead of I think the likes of a Jude Bellingham, a Phil Foden in the pack and stuff. And listen, look, he's the England manager. He can decide what he wants, kind of thing. And I'm not even here to even disagree with that. I'm really not. It's a weird one. Like I said, it's weird. I don't really know where to place it. Me, I'm a man of substance. I need to see this be like I need to see consistency before I can really place someone in. Obviously, like I said, there's going to be the unique talents out there that you can just straight off the rip. You just kind of know. But for me, he's not one of those kind of players. He's never been one of those kind of players. And I don't obviously clearly he's not going to be one of those kind of players. So, of course, I need to see the level of consistency that the hype is getting at this current moment in time. Whether I think it's deserved or not, he's playing well. He's playing good. I think he's just been consistently good. I don't think he's been over the top. I don't think he's been poor at any stage. So we can definitely, chalk that off. But yeah, he's just been good. If I had to rate it, it would be he's been like a solid 7. Now, by the way, there's nothing wrong with being a solid 7. And I do think that teams do actually need that. Most teams do, to be fair. You need that person who can just provide you with that solid 7 out of 10. Will give you 8s, 9s, and 10s, obviously every now and again, but their lowest is going to be a 7, 6.5 kind of thing. So the fact that he is doing that at this moment in time, big up to him, kudos to him. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a tough thing to do, especially when you're playing, in the Premier League. And I think that's just where I kind of sit with him. And obviously, I would love, like I say, I would love people in the comment section, Nottingham Forest fans especially, Newcastle fans even. I would love for you guys to kind of let me know just where you kind of sit with someone like Elliot Anderson in terms of, the type of player that you think or believe that he actually is. He's a player. Obviously, of course, he can play, or he not he can play. He does play. Almost as well. He's played in a double pivot for Nottingham Forest this season. Do I think that's his best position? Yeah, I'll probably say so. I think he's someone who definitely, in my opinion, would need someone next to him, just to kind of complement his game more than anything. Not that even he can't do it. I just think that his kind of skill set, I think he would be kind of null void if he was just in a pivot by himself. If I'm being totally honest with you, I don't really see him as someone who's like great defensively. I think his positional IQ is pretty decent, to be fair. So maybe if he went to a better team under a better manager, a different style of play, I would love to see, what that kind of looks like, for someone like him. Um, I was looking at this. This is from Who Scored. The strengths and weaknesses. You can see there at the bottom. It says weaknesses. Player has no significant weaknesses. Do I agree with that? Probably, maybe, which then makes it even more weird in terms of my thought process as to whether or not I believe he's a good player or not. They say, and this is obviously, again, this is all according to Who Scored. It's not me saying it or denying it. Dribbling, aerial duels, through balls, taking set pieces, good at concentration, ball interception, tackling. He's a player obviously who likes to dribble, does get fouled quite often, and he likes to tackle. That's something that I would say would resonate with him. And again, not every player, I guess, needs a USP. That's something I need to work on, is understanding more so with in terms of how you're going to rate a player. Not every player needs to be rated world class, brilliant, average, poor, and necessarily they don't necessarily need to be put into those kind of brackets. They could just be just a calm player, and being a calm player in certain teams is just going to work. That's how I feel about him. Is that he's just calm. Honestly, he's just a calm player. Do I think my team, for example, Liverpool, would need someone like him? No, I don't think so. I don't think a team like Liverpool necessarily would need someone like Elliot Anderson in their team. I don't really think he's going to bring anything that we're necessarily missing, if I'm being totally honest with you. And again, I always like to implore people, like, think obviously context. Yes, Liverpool are doing bad; they're doing shit this season. There are certain things about Liverpool when you watch them, you think, oh yeah, but if we just had this guy and this guy, I hear it. I do. I hear it and I agree to some extent, but I think that's more saved for, I'll be honest, at the stage that we should be at. Yeah, if they're not really a top level talent, do you know what I mean? I don't really see the point in bringing that type of person in, if I'm being super honest with you. And again, this isn't to discredit Elliot Anderson, because again, he is a decent player. He's the player who's had the most touches, if that's something that you care about. He's had the most touches in the Premier League. You've got the likes of Virgil van Dijk on that list as well, Lewis Dunk, Dominic Szoboszlai, Gabriel. I mean, a lot of defenders, if I'm being honest with you. Van Heck is in there, obviously Rice is in there, Bruno Fernandes. But yeah, a lot of defenders. So again, if that's something that you think is something your team needs, someone who's has a lot of touches, then yeah, that's going to be something that you're going to care about. Most possession one, I like this stat. This is definitely something that I would actually care about. 92. I'm actually more surprised actually that Bruno Fernandes is actually second or joint second on that list with Dominic Szoboszlai. Again, perception is everything. Perception is everything. Elliot Anderson is someone who always looks busy. Bruno Fernandes, I guess to some people, doesn't always look that busy, but you can see here he's second on the list. Now, obviously, it's quite far off of Elliot Anderson himself, who's kind of far out there on his own in terms of the most possession won this season. But the fact that you're top of this list is always going to be seen as a good thing. As Squawker says here, he's setting the standard for Premier League central midfielders: most touches, most passes into final third, most possession won, most duels, most take-ons, completed this season. Passes completed, forward passes completed, short passes completed, defensive duels, accurate crosses, touches. Really and truly, I mean, at this current moment in time, he's probably performing like a player who anybody should want in their team. That's the way I kind of look at it, I guess. He's performing like that type of player. Like, you're looking at some of these stuff here, if he's topping all of these kind of metrics. And again, I guess different style of football. And you get, I mean, I think that's just what it is. When I think about someone like Elliot Anderson, I'm just like, yeah, I mean, it's just not my style. I don't feel like I need what he's going to bring, because I don't feel, and again, this is all relative, this is all contextual. At this moment in time, he's top of all these metrics. Come the end of the season, when it actually matters, if he's still top of all of these metrics, I'd have to give him his dues. And that would have shown me the level of consistency that people are speaking about him now. And obviously, you can only judge by what you're seeing at this current moment in time, which is obviously fair. But there, I do feel like there's got to be a level of like temperament kind of added to it. Again, this isn't a player who's been doing this for a long time. So, and it's not his fault. You know what I mean? It really isn't his fault. But this isn't a player who has been doing it for a long time. Even Adam Wharton, I feel like, someone like him, he had a USP about him. Great passing range, good on half turn, can dribble, all of that kind of stuff. But he had really good passing range, and that kind of stood out. And I'm not saying you need that, but I do think in terms of the way that people speak about him, I do feel like most players, in the way that people are speaking about him, they have a USP about him. And I don't feel like Elliot Anderson has that USP. I'm genuinely trying to think of a player that doesn't have any USP about them at all, but is a top-rated kind of player. And I don't know. Let me know in the comment section. I'll let you guys kind of answer that question yourselves. If you think there's a player who doesn't have a USP about them, but is a top-rated player, like forget young, old, whatever, just any player, it could be from any era. Keep it to like the last 10, 15 years if you can. But yeah, if you can find that kind of player, then brilliant. And again, he doesn't need to be. I need to stress that. I'm not saying he needs to have this. I'm not saying I think he's a bad player. And again, the only reason I keep stressing this is because I know some people are a little bit thick. I know some people are a little bit dumb in terms of the way that they think. It's the typical strawberries and pineapple situation of, I say I like strawberries, all you heard is you don't like pineapples or you don't like apples or whatever. I didn't say that. I'm just saying, one thing. So just listen to what I am actually telling you people. But yeah, I do look at him and I just think to myself, you know what, right now he's in a good moment. Obviously for England and stuff like that as well, it does look like clearly he's a favourite for Tuchel. And obviously with the World Cup coming at the end of this season, how that obviously looks, I don't know. I'd love to see what that kind of lineup is going to look like. I don't watch England games, to be fair, in terms of the qualifiers. So yeah, I couldn't tell you style of play or anything like that. I find England and international football boring. So it's definitely not something that I'm going to spend my time watching. But of course, World Cups, I'm going to be there and going to be looking at the games and looking at how certain players play and etc. etc. So I will be very intrigued. But I have seen, again, like I said at the beginning of this video, I've seen a few quotes and stuff like that Tuchel has obviously said in regards to, someone, like Elliot Anderson. Yeah, I mean, you can see here, the top 12 players for progressive passes within 2 seconds. Didn't know that this was a thing that anyone actually cared about, but clearly it is. Obviously, you can see on the list, Kieran Trippier is on there. Adam Wharton, again, is on there. Jordan Henderson's on there. Elliot Anderson, of course, is on there. Bruno Guimaraes. Anyone else? Reece James, Sangare, Trossard, Murillo, Van Heck is on there. So, again, I mean, I'm looking at that straight off the rip, and I'm like, I mean, Adam Wharton's on there. Is on there too. Do you get what I'm saying? So I don't know. I mean, I know he's further down the list, but he's on there as well. Do you get what I mean? And I think he has got a better passing range than someone like him. So again, is that something that you care about? Is that something that, we feel is a necessary trait in your own team? And this is, I guess this is the way that I always kind of look at things, is that I always look at things from the lens of like, does my team need someone like Elliot Anderson? Like if we had someone like him, do I think my team would be better? Maybe under a different manager, it's a bit difficult to judge under, someone like, on a slot, because yeah, I don't know what he's on at the moment anyway. But in general, I'm like, yeah, I mean, maybe it's like a bench or squad player. Like, yeah, he just offers something I guess we don't necessarily have, which to me is more about the intensity. He is comfortable in possession. I would say that he is a player that I do think is comfortable in possession. He is a player that I do think that you can see there. I mean, within 2 seconds, you get what I'm trying to say. So clearly, he's got the quick thought, he's got the high IQ. Well, he's got decent IQ in my opinion. Positionally, Yeah, I think for Nottingham Forest, I think he's absolutely fine. The job that he's obviously doing there. He does like to progress play. He is someone who can do that. I wouldn't say finishing or anything is his best suit, but again, that's not his role. So I'm not really judging him, really on that in itself. But he can keep possession ticking over. And sometimes, to be fair, that is just all you need, really and truly, is that player who can keep possession, kind of ticking over. And I think for me, all I really need to see for me to really judge him and for me to be like, no, you know what? Yeah, I think Elliot Anderson, now is the time. I think I just need to see more. I think that's literally all it is. If I see more of this for the next, and this is always key for me. Yeah, I said the same thing actually about Hugo Ekitike. And to be fair, I did say I was wrong about him in terms of as a player and what I thought about him, which I'm more than happy to do with Elliot Anderson. And I'm more than happy to do with anybody, to be honest with you. But I think one of the things I always feel with players and fans as well, and it's more fans' fault than players, of course, is that we hype so quickly. You see something you like straight off the rip, boom, boom, boom. This is it. Yeah, this is the guy. This is going to be the reason why we do well, right? It's always that kind of thing. And I always feel like with players, whether they buy into that or not, or the clubs buy into that, in terms of like, because there's this kind of social acceptance about players, about certain players, right? Where it's like, no, 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 this is a player that's highly rated, and then it's almost like because of what the fans' perception is of said player, the market starts to change for that player. Stocks, it's a bit like stocks, literally rises, falls due to anything, anything to do with a business will be the reason why stocks go up and down. Prime example, I don't know, I can't remember the makers of GTA, but the second that there was news about GTA being pushed back, straight away stocks started to drop. Do you know what I mean? And that didn't have anything necessarily to directly do with the game in terms of we don't know if the game is good or bad. Like we've not seen the game, so to say the game is, we don't know because the game isn't even out yet. But guess what? The news came out that yeah, this guy, and now in terms of the actual perception of said player, or sorry, of the game in itself, yeah, now the news starts to drop, and all of these kind of various different things. So yeah, I think that's just how I look at it. That's really, really just how I look at it, especially with someone like Elliot Anderson. I think more about the consistency. Is he really that good? I think right now he's doing pretty decently. And I think, yeah, long may it continue, by the way. Like, I hope he just continues this kind of form because then you start putting yourself into those kind of conversations. At the moment, and listen, I've seen certain players who I thought at this level were pretty decent. You go to a better team who play different style of football, the type of football that Nottingham Forest play. Could he go to a Manchester City? Could he go to a Liverpool who play a different style of football? Could he go there, and is what he brings going to add anything to those teams? I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say yes or no. Not to say he can't adapt. I really don't know. But if he's really good at these things now, in your opinion, can those same things then be brought to a different team and he can just plug and play and we can go? Remains to be seen, in my personal opinion. But let me know what you think in the comment section. Like, do you think he's really that good? Do you really think he's that guy? Do you think he is a player that, we should, Liverpool, anybody, top teams, do you really think top teams will be looking at a player like Elliot Anderson and saying, I need to get him in? I really need to get him in this summer because what he brings to the team, we're just missing that and we need that. And once we get that, it takes us up another level and stuff like that. Or is he just one of those players that we think, listen, man, you're at Nottingham Forest, you're doing really well over there. That's your kind of level at this moment in time. Stay there, keep developing. Who knows where you might be in a year's time? Do you know what I mean? Again, Adam Wharton's been at bloody Crystal Palace for a couple of seasons now, since obviously joining in the January transfer window from Blackburn. I think a couple of seasons ago, roughly. Yeah, roughly. I think yeah, a couple of seasons ago now. So he's now reached this level. He's been able to develop at one team under one manager, and he's now developed into the player that we are seeing today. Should we maybe see that Nottingham Forest gone through a bit of change? A lot of things have happening, in terms of the team, the squad, and all of that kind of stuff. Let's let him do his thing. Is probably my message at the end of this. Is let Elliot Anderson do his thing. Let's see what that looks like. Maybe this time next year, as an example. I would really love him to just stay, to be honest, at Nottingham Forest, and then if he can continue that, brilliant. We've seen Morgan Gibbs White so far this season. No one's talking about him. Back in the last season, everybody's talking about him. Football can change very, very quickly. Let me know your thoughts, man, in the comment section, people. Is Elliot Anderson really that good? I'll catch you guys soon, man. Peace.